Okay, good afternoon. I thank God to be here. Being here for me has a big meaning for my spiritual life. I hope you can understand my poor English. My first language is Portuguese from Brazil, which is a little different from Portuguese from Portugal. I'm a little sleepy because of the flight, the jet lag. So I thank God to be here. And I didn't expect to come here. So God has been already showing me some things that I enjoy so far. The Dr. Viriato introduction was very spiritual. I like it. And also this morning I listened to some information that, okay, thank God. So healing is different from cure. So many of us cannot have a cure in this life, but all of us can have healing. So Jesus can heal us. Jesus can put us above the suffering that we cannot find solution in this life. So I like so much soaring. I don't know how to say. If there's someone here from Denmark, there is a philosopher from Denmark called Søren Kierkegaard. He wrote a book called The Concept of Anguish. I love that book. And he said, if we squeeze the book, the phrase, the sentence, the idea is those who learn how to deal with the anguish learn the more important. Very important. See, this is what today we call emotional intelligence. See, this is what Jesus used to do every day when he lived here. Okay, I came from Brazil. You can see my flag, the flag of my country. I'm psychiatrist. I came from a very strong Catholic family. Brazil is a very strong Catholic country. So thanks God, I came from a very strong Catholic family. My parents, they died already, Catholic. Is there someone here who is Catholic? You Catholic? I was. Are you asking? No. Now today. Okay. Well, I'd be happy if you're Catholic in here. Is there someone here who is not member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church? Is there one person? I'm happy you're here. Praise God you're here. See, I'm very happy. So when I live in a hometown near Rio de Janeiro called Nova Friburgo. Nova means new. Friburgo is because that city where I live was colonized by people from Germany and from Switzerland. Freiburg. That's all they call Nova Friburg. I live there. It's 840 meters high. 2 hours by car from Rio. So I knew the Seventh-day Adventist Church when I was in the School of Medicine in Rio de Janeiro. I never heard about this church. We need to be more humble. We should not be triumphalist. Not being triumphalist is not to be pessimist, is to be realist. See? So then I received this Bible studies in the School of Medicine from a classmate. He was just coming to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. In the beginning, I refused. I used to smoke cigarette, drink alcohol, I go to the, nightclubs, this kind. I tried marijuana, but I didn't like it, thanks God. But thanks God, he was very insistent on some pamphlets, say, okay, okay. So God is good. Salvation is not to resist God. That's it. It's to cooperate with God. So keep the mind open. Keep the mind open. Open mind is to be spiritual. Independent on the religion you have. Independent on the denomination you are today. So many people, they are very spiritual people, but they don't are a member of any kind of church. And some people, they are in the right church, and they are not spiritual. They have only religion. So I suggest you and myself, let's go to the spirituality instead of staying only in the religion. See, religion is a very, okay, it's good, but it's not enough. Okay, so I love writing. I have this, my first book in Portuguese called Marriage. What is that? Marriage, what is that? It's Portuguese, I'm sorry. But then this was published in 2000, I think. And then 2010, more or less, I went to the professional studio and I read this book and I made comments on this book, and that's become this audio book. Marriage, what is that? Commented. Audio book, MP3. Then in Brazil, we have the Seventh-day Adventist Church has a publishing house, very big publishing house. And then they publish in Brazil, in many countries, this magazine called Life and Health. You know now Life and Health? Okay, for more than 20 years, I have a session here in the Life and Health magazine. And finally, the publisher, they invited me to make a selection of the articles. The article is based on, I used to receive many letters before the computer, many letters from the people all over the country, and I answered this letter, then email, then I send the answer to the publish house. They publish a question the person made and my answer. So then the publishing house invited me to prepare a book with all this material. Then this is the book, published by the Brazilian publishing house, administered by the South America division. This is a collection of answers that was published through the years in the Life and Health magazine. Okay. If you want this presentations have lots of slides, okay? You can write my email. I can send to you the PowerPoint presentation free, okay? It costs maybe $2,000, but I give you free. I spend lots of hours, okay. Cesar Souza, my name. So consultório means office, okay? portalnatural.com.br. You can ask me, Cesar, please send me the PowerPoint. I send to you freely. I receive freely, I give you freely, okay? I'd like also to say to you that I have been working as a psychiatrist for many years, but I don't work with children. I'm not specialized in children and teenagers as well, and also with I didn't deal with the chemical dependencies. Very difficult to deal with this kind of problem, and psychotic also. I had some schizophrenic patients, but very few, and not complicate too much. When it's very complicated, then I refer to other psychiatrists. But I had few, and thanks God, they are very good. Thanks God, you know, there is a guy, he entered my office very crazy, totally paranoid. And then he used medication, antipsychotic. Do you know what his job today? He's a Assembly of God Church young pastor. Praise God. I'm so happy with this guy. It was God that healed him. Yeah, the medication holds some agitation. Yeah. Another guy, now he's a sergeant from the police in my city. He was crazy also, totally crazy. He was kind of bipolar and schizophrenia. Okay, so I don't treat people with schizophrenia, with the psychosis, including schizophrenia, even though I love this kind of people. See, schizophrenic people, they're very smart usually. And schizophrenic people, they know the unconscious. We don't know the unconscious, they know. The problem is that they don't know how to deal with the unconscious mind. So, okay. Yeah, just a geography. This is the world we live. This is the three Americas, North America, Central America, and South America. You can see Brazil. This is again Brazil in yellow. So I live near Rio de Janeiro area. Unfortunately, Brazil is a beautiful country, fruits all over the year, but some cities very dangerous. Rio de Janeiro is around here. Rio de Janeiro, you can see here. This is my son, Pablo. Pablo, he was born in Argentina because when I started working for the hospital in Rio, they sent me to Argentina to take training, and Pablo was born there. That's why he called Pablo. In Brazil, it would be Paulo. Pablo was working for the Hope Channel in Brazil in the information technology department. Then he moved to Wildwood, Georgia, and then the last September, he received invitation to go to WIMA Institute, and Pablo has been doing very good job. He's a web designer. There's a North America division, a website he just made a few weeks ago. There's a Hope Channel webpage Pablo did, and he has been doing many pages for the Hope Channel. There's a Dr. Barry Black, chaplain from the Senator. And this is Dr. Nedley. Do you know Dr. Nedley? Neil Nedley? Yeah, he's the president of WIMA Institute. Pablo made this website too. So he's my smart son, thank God. So Pablo's site, he has the website. And this is my daughter, Thais. Thais is a psychologist, is so sweet, a beautiful girl. This is my daughter. She was born in Rio de Janeiro, and she's a clinical psychologist, but she works for the Hope Channel in Brazil too. And she writes very well. You can go to her website. It's in Portuguese, but she knows English. She knows English, so you can exchange idea with Thais. I can give you later on the website, okay? This is Adventist hospital in Rio de Janeiro called Silvestre Adventist Hospital. I worked for that hospital for 26 years, from 1978 until December 2004. You can see, have you heard about the Christ the Redeemer here? In the top of you can see here. This is Rio de Janeiro. You know, this statue here was a gift from France to Brazil. Yeah. You can see, like, go back here. When you go to the Christ Redeemer, there is a street. You take on the left, you go to the hospital. And the hospital has in downtown, maybe around here, building with, this is another picture from the hospital. And this is a downtown building with outpatient offices. I used to work there. I work more with outpatient clinic instead of inpatient clinic care. This is a Hope Channel program called Family counseling. I have been participate in the LEAVE program. This girl is called Darlady. She has been inviting me maybe once a month to participate in this program in Hope Channel. Okay, this is what I have been doing. Christian psychiatry, centered in Jesus Christ as our model of mental health and behavior. Jesus Christ is ultimate source of healing. Brings back the Christian psychiatry, the vision, the Christian vision of psychiatry. I prefer, is the best way to say that. The point of view, the Christian point of view of psychiatry, okay? Is the best title than this one. So brings back the need for spiritual care and development to achieve mental health. This kind of point of view sees religion as relevant, not neurotic or bothersome. But we need to define religion, okay? This kind of psychiatry is rooted on the concept of or theory of man found in the Bible anthropology. So what the Bible says about the man, the structure of the man, we know. As God created man and woman, and in the constitution of man and woman is the dust of the ground, breath of life that Jesus made the living soul or the person. Or the soul, the person, living soul. Okay, so any kind of person in this planet has these three dimensions, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual, in a social environment. But let's take a look into the mental, because the mental also divide in three areas: the thoughts, the feelings, and the actions. Actually, the scientific word for action is volition, okay? Is the capacity to choose. So we have thought, we have feelings, we take decisions. This is the mind. That's why we psychiatrists, when we study, when we analyze the thought of the patient, we analyze three things: the speed of the thought, the structure of the thought, and the content of the thought. So delirium is dysfunction of the content of the thought. People with bipolar, in the manic stage, they are high-speed thinking process. See, people with depression, they are very low. The rhythm is low. So thought, feelings, and action. So health has to do with the good protection of your physical, your mind, and your spirituality. People with only good care of physical, by chance, I think this morning in the breakfast with Dr. He's a researcher for Loma Linda, Gary Fraser, and I asked him, Dr. Fraser, why do you think people, even do vegan people, they're very totally vegetarian, they have cancer? They have a cancer. Why? Or even high cholesterol, which is, how can be that? See, the emotional is very important. We're going to see some quotation about that. Very important. That's why my friend Dr. Sangu Lee, Dr. Sang Lee, I studied with him in California in 1992 in Wima, and he used to say, it's better for you to eat meat and love than you eat brown rice and hate the people. I agree with you. The best is to love and to be vegetarian, yeah. So we can see the comparison, the analogy with our mind is this way. The more important wheels of a car is in the front of the car, right? Because the wheels in the front, you drive, you go to the right, you go to the left, right? You choose where you want to go. See, that's why the actions, the volition, the decision, and the thoughts are very important and should be the number one in our mind to put us in the right way. But the back wheels are very important too. The feelings and the physiologies, how the body works. In the postmodern philosophy, they put feelings into the front, mixed with the thoughts. So, what makes myself, yourself? What's self? The ego, the self. Self is made out of hereditary influence plus childhood emotional environment. So what happened during the childhood in your life? How was the family you grew up? Was huggy or rejected, alcoholism, divorce, spanking, or overprotector? How was? And personal sensitiveness, I choose this word. Personal sensitiveness is the way you react to what happened in the environment. You can have the same family, the same father, the same mother, the same food, the same school, and one child reacts in a totally different way than other, right? Yeah, I have 2 children. Now I have Pablo has 3, young, so they are different. The same father, the same mother, different. In the spiritual nature. So this is what we are made of in the sense of behavior. So how was the human mind before and after the fall in Eden? Not to forget, I was in the United States then in a friend's house, and she had the Bible, very interesting Bible. If you want a Bible in English that has psychological comments based on the 12 steps. Have you heard about the 12 steps program from the Alcoholics Anonymous? Okay, there is a Bible called the Life Recovery Bible. And the other is Recovery Devotional Bible. 2 Bibles. The Life Recovery Bible and Recovery Devotional Bible. One is published by Zondervan, and another is published by Tyndale, okay? Tyndale, okay. So before the fall, no shame, no guilt, no anxiety, no sadness, no fear. After, it's a pity, but we have shame, we have guilt, we need to deal with anxiety, we become sad sometimes, we fear. So what happened in the human structure when Adam and Eve, they commit sin? Something changed dramatically in the deep of our mind. This is a quotation. I have many quotations, okay? I love this writer called Ellen White. Have you heard about Ellen White? She's a very inspired woman. I love her quotation. That's why I will quote many here. Man was originally endowed with noble powers and a well-balanced mind. He was perfect in his being and in harmony with God. His thoughts were pure, his aims holy. But through disobedience, his powers were perverted, and selfishness took the place of love. Look at this. Selfishness took the place of love. His nature became so weakened through transgression that it was impossible for him in his own strength to resist the power of evil. So it's very difficult for us to know when, like in the marriage it's very difficult for us to know when finish the personal problem that we brought to the relationship and when start the problem of the couple. See, in the marriage we have both the problems of the couple, the husband and wife. They need to sit down and talk about. But there is a problem, there's personal problem. If you are married, you have problem in the marriage, if you don't take a look to your own problem, I'm sorry, you cannot find solution. Only believing that you have to go to doctor, I stay here. Okay, so the same we find in the mind. I mean, it's difficult to know the limit between the emotional problems and when finish the emotional and when start the spiritual. It's kind of mixed. I have a quotation here by Dr. John Robert from Harvard University. Okay, so we have a problem because of the fall. Oops. Great wisdom is needed by the physician at the institute in order to cure the body through the mind. But few realize the power that the mind has over the body. A great deal of the sickness which afflicts humanity has its origin in the mind and can only be cured by restoring the mind to health. What does it mean, restoring the mind to health? We need to think about this. I love so much the presentation, different presentation this morning. I can see one unique point of view. Many diseases, emotional, physical, we will not find solution in this life. But God can give in this life the healing for us. So healing is more important than cure. See, like a treatment is different from healing. Yeah? We need to understand that. The father of medicine. Do you know the name of the father of medicine? How we say in English? Hippocrates? Okay. Do you know what he said? Even the Greek, with this dichotomy, way of thinking, Hippocrates said, more important than knowing which disease that person has is to know who is the person who has that disease. Understand what I mean? So it makes a difference. See? The global. We need to see the global, the whole, instead of focusing only. Okay, so sickness of the mind prevails everywhere. 9/10, wow, it's too much that, of the disease from which men suffer have their foundation where? In the mind. So what does mean that? So if you don't care about your mind, even though you're vegan, you're missing something. Science. So the concept of mental health, according to the science is a state characterized by psychological it's a Hollywood definition. Psychological well-being and self-acceptance, the capacity to love and relate to others, and the willingness to behave in a way that brings personal satisfaction without encroaching upon the rights of others, to be well adapted and emotionally well adjusted. Well, good, beautiful definition, yeah. The Bible definition of health is the capacity to love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and to love your neighbor like you love yourself. So we can find also many definitions of, many complementation of the definition of mental health in the Bible, like in 1 Corinthians 13, Galatians 5, Colossians, Ephesians, Philippians, the wonderful quotation, Philippians 2, Isaiah. Ellen White wrote that Isaiah 58 is the best prescription for health and happiness. Remember? Yeah, she wrote about that. Very good. So, this is a board. See, here, we are here. We are right here. This is before the fall in Eden. We had true normal mental health, no anxiety, no depression. Now we are here. And Jesus is coming very soon, like my friend David Gates. He says he's coming in a few months. Can be 24, 36, 72, but yeah, it's not, So now we have this partial normality. The only person I knew in my life, I'm 63 now. I don't feel like that, but I'm 63. The only person I know is totally 100% normal is called Jesus Christ. But I don't know about you. I cannot judge you, but I'm not totally, no. So we can go from here to go there and then come back here. Yeah, there are two schools. There is a school of psychiatry. They say once psychotic, you always will be psychotic. Depends on the point of view, depends on many things. Okay, so we have anxiety and depression, mild, moderate, severe. We are according to the World Organization Health and the World Psychiatric Organization, we are changing from the 3 maybe decades of anxiety disorders. We are going to the depression. Depression century, decades. See, there are studies, prospective studies that shows that in 2020, depression may become the second disease in the world. The number one still will be the heart and cardiovascular disease. So why the world is becoming depressed? Do you know why? In one phrase answer is because of the lack of hope. Yeah, the lack of hope isn't the root of the depression mind. Okay, so when Jesus comes soon, then we will have again true normal mental health and no anxiety, no depression. Okay, so mental disease is produced by genetic influence, like Dr. Bernard showed here, the genetic, but thanks God, the genetic is not everything. Praise God for that. Otherwise, all the children from alcoholic father should be alcoholic. So genetic is important, but is not determinant. Genetic influence plus prenatal. Do you know prenatal word is influence? So before the baby is born, so during pregnancy, influence is the constitution. The constitution plus the postnatal, the baby now is born, influence a predisposition. And the predisposition plus the life events, the life experience, then produce the normality, more or less, the neurotic or the psychotic. I read a book maybe from an author who studied about the transactional analysis, and I think as a woman, she said, neurotic is, psychotic is that when a person says, I am Barack Obama, and this is psychotic. And neurotic is, I do like to be Barack Obama, I don't like myself. And the normal people says, well, Barack Obama is okay, but I'm okay too. Okay. Okay, this is, sorry, I could not, this is a photo picture in Portuguese, so it's easy to understand. This is personality, okay, what we are. This is the mental, the psychic, the mental. So the more, there's a maturity. See the arrow here going up? So the more you become mature, the less biological influence and the less problem in the environment, especially in the childhood, you had. And the opposite also is true. The more you become psychotic, the more biological influence and the more problems in the environment, especially in the childhood, is very strong. See? So cause of mental disorder, physical causes, some psychosis due to general medical conditions, symptomatic psychosis. What is the symptomatic psychosis? Sometimes in the hospital I used to work in Rio, they call me to go to the intensive unit care to see patient. They did heart surgery and they are, screaming or agitate, and then I need to go and prescribe a medication to calm down. So this is temporary psychosis. and like Bernard mentioned, some kind of temporary psychosis. So because of physical problem, he mentioned about some education, you said, the interferon, this kind of, okay? So genetic, look at this, what Ellen White wrote, very interesting, she wrote in this. Both parents transmit their own characteristics, mental and physical, their disposition and appetites to the children. So we transmit to the children the tendency to behave this way or that way. But the final decision is up to us. Understand what I mean? So more important than, put attention to this phrase, more important than what your parents did with you is what you do what they did. I will repeat, more important than what your parents did with you is what you do what they did. So you have the choice. This have the choice is a very, I don't know why North America like to say this phrase. Okay. But it's a very important discussion. Okay, psychological causes of mental disorder. The lessons given during the first years of life determine the future of the child. Wow. Child, first years. Very important. In the discipline given during the first years of childhood, parents are making lasting impressions upon the minds of the children. It is in these early years that they are laying the foundation of character. Wow. This is, the more I see patients, the clearer this becomes for me. Yeah. I cannot help people without helping them to take a look what happened in the past and to understand what they are doing now because of the past. It's not to dig on the past like a psychoanalysis, which I used to work with many years ago. Now I changed it. Okay, but it's very important. I have a quotation Ellen White wrote about that. So Dr. Patrick Carnes, he has a wonderful book, Don't Call It Love. This book is about the sex dependency, sex obsession. In Portuguese, it's 444 pages, and very interesting. And he said, feelings of abandonment is the core of addictive longing. Very interesting. So when a person looks for cocaine, and also it can extend to other, or this pornography, you know. Many people, even the church, they are very big problem with the pornography. Yeah. So looking for this kind of drug addiction, pornography, or the sex addiction is a way of trying to decrease the pain inside. But if you use some substance to decrease the pain without looking where does pain come from, and without looking for a constructive way of dealing with the pain will be there all the time. Right? Okay. So, and this I'm so happy. I was in Wildwood in Georgia. Dr. Bernard Baldwin, he prescribed the Lancet magazine. One day I was in the library. I took one Lancet. It was God, because a bunch of Lancet, I took a few Lancet. I found this article here. Very important. Course of bipolar illness after history of childhood trauma. This is what exactly Ellen White wrote, I mentioned, right? Look, investigators had previously found that these same adults with severe psychosocial adversity in childhood also had an earlier age of onset of and a more severe cause of their bipolar illness than those without such a history. Thank you so much. In other words, what the investigators discover here, that people, let me say another way, the strongest was the childhood problem in bipolar patient compared to another bipolar patient without many complicated problems in the childhood. So the more was the stronger the problem in childhood, the earlier was the beginning of the bipolar disease, and the duration was more large. See the importance of the childhood, the psychodynamic, what we call, plus what Dr. Bernard told about the biological. So cause of mental disorder. So the social, I love Dr. Rollo May. Do you know Dr. Rollo May? He is a psychoanalyst from the United States, very deep think person. If you want to study a book, scientific book about anxiety, he wrote a book called The Meaning of Anxiety. Rollo May. I had the privilege to shake his hand in the International Congress of Psychotherapy in Rio, and we exchanged 2 letters maybe in the time we don't use had email. So Dr. Rollo May, he has several books, and he says that we live in a crazy world, so we try to help people in the office, then they go back to the crazy world. So how to do that? And also there is a very important explanation. Dr. May, he said in one of his books, I think it's The Meaning of Anxiety, maybe. There is another book, Eros and Depression, The Art of Counseling, or the Existential Psychology. And he said some patients, when they go away from your office, they are with bigger anxiety than when he enter your office. So when they leave the office, they are worse. Why? Because now they are taking conscience. They are become more aware of the cause of the anxiety. Very important. It's not easy for us to think about the cause of our emotional suffering. That's why I used to think that some people they look for psychological help, they may be more healthy than those who don't look for. Because they recognize they have a problem and they need help. And some people, they have their pride. No, I'm okay. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I don't eat meat. Okay. So there's a social cause. A materialistic lifestyle is a big problem that disguises the need for spiritual growth. Jesus called this. And the media, the TV, radio is very bad in some point of view. And drug addiction. And we are living in the very compulsive world, right? People are addicted to many things. To the new iPad, the new iPhone, the new whatever. Addicted to electronics, addicted to many things. So addiction is a signal, is a symptom, of emptiness. Okay, so general guidelines for the treatment of mental disorder. Only general guideline. The Bible. I used to say the more important 4 things: the Bible, God, the Bible, prayer, and nature. Why this? And inspired books. I mean Ellen White books. So why? Because these are directly from God. So the God, you pray, you read the Bible, you stay more time in the nature instead of the shoppings, okay? And this is connection without human interference. Understand what I mean? If I have time, then I'll read another books. Okay. So the prevention of mental health, mental disease, through education. I put true education because I took a class in the Wildwood about true education. It's quite different from education. Functional, lovely family, healthy, physical lifestyle. Teach children to develop self-government. Look at this, what this lady wrote. The lessons of temperance, self-denial, and self-control are to be taught to the children even from when? Babyhood. Very important. So to treat mental disorders, herbs, hydrotherapy, physical exercise, vegetarianism, and some medications as well. By the way, I think that Germany, they are years ahead of United States in the hydrotherapy treatment. Yeah, you're very good. God has given us the fruits and the grains of the earth for food, that we might have unfevered blood, calm nerves, and what? Clear minds. When I was becoming Seventh-day Adventist, I used to smoke cigarette, and then when I start understanding that smoking cigarette will prevent me from understanding the spirituality, then I said, God, help me to stop smoking. I didn't want to stop smoking because of the pulmonary problems. No, not because of that, but because of the spirituality. When I understood that, I said, God, I need your help, because now you are helping me to understand I need to have a spiritual insight. Okay, so counseling and psychotherapy. What is the difference between counseling and psychotherapy? Do you know? Counseling is something you say to the patient according to your point of view, according to your culture, according to your philosophy. Psychotherapy is kind of almost neutral. It is only as the Holy Spirit leads and guides a man or woman, that he or she is a safe counselor. So you need to be guided by the Holy Spirit. And also to treat mental disorder, community support, the church, the friend, the teachers, some self-support groups helps. Look at this, very important. Sometimes people that deal with the counseling psychology, they ask, which kind of approach you use? So in the visible creation, divine wisdom is manifested in the endless variety of process. Uniformity is not the rule that is followed in the kingdom of nature. Neither is the rule that is followed in the kingdom of grace. In different ways, God works to attain one purpose, the saving of souls. Look at this. By different methods, the gracious Redeemer deals with different minds. The change of heart is as truly wrought out by one process as by another. It is the Lord working upon minds and molding characters. So different methods to deal with different minds. Some patients of mine, they're very analytical. So then I love to work with people who love to think. But some patients, they are very, practical, very cognitive. So I need to use a different approach. Yeah, people, usually businessmen, they're very practical. They hate to sit down and think about their anxiety and anguish. They know they want you to give the solution right away, because they want to go back to their work and make money. So this is not the best way for you to find a solution. Psychotherapy. Psycho means mind, therapy means treatment. The concept of is a mental health problems treated by talking with a psychiatrist, psychologist, or other mental health provider. Looking for what? For learning about the emotional condition, like the Bernard Davy said, psychoeducation. Looking for knowing your feelings, thoughts, and behaviors. It helps you to learn how to take control of your life and responding to challenging situations with healthy coping skills. Is a psychological education, let's say. Is a training. Yeah. To deal with the minds is the nicest work in which man ever engaged. It's the nicest and most critical work even given to mortals, to deal with minds. It's not easy, isn't it, Bernard? It's not easy. So Einstein said a very interesting quotation: science without religion is lame. It's lame. Religion without science is blind. I believe that true science is spiritual, and true spirituality is very scientific. Ellen White wrote that the true principles of psychology are found in the Holy Scriptures. Yes. The Bible has engineering, biology, history, poetry, and mathematics, and psychology. So there's a quotation, some few quotation about counseling in the Bible, the importance of counseling in the Bible. And this is one of them. Ointment and perfume rejoice the heart, so that the sweetness of a man's friends by heart counsel. The Lord God has given me the tongue of the learned, that I should know how to speak a word in season to him that's weary. Let's see only here in the bottom. She says about different type of people here, the fanatical, the egoistical, the timid, and these varied minds cannot be treated alike using the same method. Yet all, whether they be rich or poor, high or low, dependent or independent, need kindness, sympathy, truth, and love. Dr. May, he says, the role of the counselor is to help the person to become what God intended him to be. Very interesting. Yeah. So in a general idea, in the overview, we can say that we have a cognitive behavioral therapy approach and psychodynamic therapy. I have been working all my life with psychodynamic therapy. So this quotation is very interesting. To know oneself is great knowledge. True self-knowledge leads to a humility that will open the way for the Lord to develop the mind and mold and discipline the character. So to know yourself. I know that there is another quotation that she said that we should not look to ourselves because, we can be confused by Satan. Yeah, but what she say? She said that we should not keep on looking to ourselves all the time. Don't do that. But she's saying here that we need to look sometimes to ourselves to understand why we behave this way we behave. This is a concept of inconscience in the Bible. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse to me from the secret faults. Secret where? The heart is deceitful above all things. The heart is a more deep area of the mind. This area we psychiatrists cannot touch. Only God can touch that. I have a quotation, very interesting, where Ellen White separated the heart from the mind. Very interesting. I'm studying that now. So the heart is deceitful above all things, and the spirit is wicked. Who can know it? I, the Lord, search the heart. I analyze your heart. I'm your analyst. Do you allow me to be your analyst? So now I have the courage to say that even I'm a psychiatrist. Finally, God has been making me understand this in the best way than years ago. So God will help you. God will help the person with emotional problems directly. Or he will guide the person to a counseling, to a psychotherapist. Depends on the situation, depends on the faith, depends on the personal capacity, depends on some issues. So there, God invite you and me to a session of analysis in Isaiah 43, 25, 26, saying, let us review the situation together, and you can present your case if you have one. Then I will try to help you. Yeah, we should do that every day in a very deep way. This quotation is a kind of, wow, what she say here? I'm instructed to say that we must not look for any human being for power or experience, depending on them for strength and guidance. Christ says, look unto me, I am the light of the world. He that follow me shall not walk in darkness, but shall have the light of life. I speak to those who claim to be the children of God. It's not time that we know the source of our strength and the source of our power. Is she saying here that there is no space for counseling? No. She's saying here that we should not look for any human being as our source of power and experience in life. She's talking about the transformation, very deep transformation. Let no one think that we will go away by himself and be taught of no man. See, she's saying the kind of opposite. It's not the opposite, it's another point of view. When it is the order that God, the human agent, shall instruct his people. I'm able to do all things through him who gives me strength. Usually the pastor, they preach and they stop here in the verse 13. But the verse 14 says, but you did well to have care for me in my need. Not only pastor, but many lay people. So the cross is two trees, right? So the vertical tree means that there's something in our life that can be solved only between you and God. That's it. But there are things that God chooses another person to help us. That's a horizontal tree. The human, look at this very important desire of ages. Jesus, in his humanity, he felt the need for human support. The human heart longs for sympathy in suffering. This longing Christ felt to the very deep with his being. In the supreme agony of his soul, he came to his what? Disciples with a yearning desire to hear some word of comfort. So he felt the need. Can you help me, please? I know I can do everything in God, my Father, but can you help me this time, right now? Very, very good. Very interesting, this quotation. So offer general, wise, and considerate, well-balanced men who will be safe advisors, who have some insight into human nature, who know how to direct and counsel in the fear of God. So if you want to help people with counseling, you need to kneel down every day more than studying the science. So if you study only the science, you can do a good job, but maybe not in a more deep way. Dr. Benson is from Harvard University. I have this book in Portuguese, The Timeless Healing, The Power and Biology of Belief. He's from the Department of Body-Mind Institute of Harvard University. He said, look what he found out here. 60 to 90% of patients who look for doctors in the clinic have the disease due to physical and mental stress. They are people who have physical symptoms as the result of social emotional problems. Average could be 75. He's almost getting what Ellen White said. She said 90%. He said 75%. It's coming. The science is coming. So the question is not when the Bible will meet the science. The question is when the science will meet what the Bible says. So social families conflicts, personal conflicts, this kind of emotional conflicts produce behavioral dysfunctions. And the behavior dysfunction in some cases produce physical symptoms. This quotation, when God brought me this quotation a few years ago, I was so happy because I feel the justice. I feel the righteousness. Why some are continually harassed, afflicted, and in trouble because of their unhappy traits of character, having to war with internal foes or enemies, and the corruption of their natures, others have no what? Have so much to battle against. Very important. So, say you don't know what is going on in the mind of the person. Don't judge. You don't know. You only know if you have come through the same situation. If you don't have the same experience, you don't know. Don't say, I understand you, what you're suffering, if you don't be in the same situation in the past. You can have an idea, but you don't know. We know only with experience, even though we are professionals. Some minds are, difficult word for me to say, dwarfed and not properly balanced. All minds are not naturally constituted alike. We have varied minds. Some are strong upon a certain point and very weak upon other points. Yeah, this is true. We see this every day in the church, in the clinic, in the office. The relation that exists between the mind and the body is very intimate. When one is affected, the other sympathize. The condition of the mind affects the health to a far greater degree than many realize. Many of the diseases from which men suffer are the result of mental depression. I'm not sure if she was thinking about depression the way you use today, Dr. Bernard. Maybe the mental malfunctioning for neurotransmitters, maybe depression. Look at this. This is a scientific study published in the American Psychosomatic Society journal. We have 3 kinds of attachment. The way we deal with people, we can have the secure attachment. What does mean secure attachment? You can feel and handle the emotion when related to others. The other type is insecure attachment. You can handle but not feel the feelings. Some people are very close, very kind of cold. And disorganized attachment. You cannot both feel and handle the feelings. So we are in one of these 3 classification. So they made a study. This is Dr. Diana Fosher from University of Adelphi, I think, in New York City, where I studied this book in the post-grade course I did in Rio. Look at this quotation. I put everything here in the screen. Oh, sorry. This was from American Psychosomatic Society. There's a scientific study made people from this Harvard University and Bryn College. And look what they test 101 couples to know if there was any connection between the somatization in the adult life and childhood problems. Do you know somatization? What does it mean? Somatization is when you have a problem in the physical body produced by emotional conflicts. Look what they found out. They found out the result here. Childhood trauma was associated with higher levels of somatization and insecure attachment. And insecure attachment style was also associated with higher levels of somatization. Interesting. And the type of attachment we develop depends on the quality of the emotional in the childhood, right? That's why Ellen White wrote this. Disease is sometimes produced and is often greatly aggravated by the imagination. Many die from disease, the cause of which is wholly what? Imagine, wow, how is that? Dr. Sangli has many scientific information about that. Yeah. What you believe affect very deep the way your body responds. There are many who have not received a right education. Their characters are warped, like this here. Their characters they are hard and gnarled and seem to be crooked in every way. I have met some kind of these people. They're very suffering people. And you know, I love this quotation. It's not here. Ellen White wrote that God, the omnipotent God, He has more pleasure to come here and to be together with this kind of people instead of being praised by the holy angels. Praise God for that. This is a wonderful quotation. Yeah. It's wonderful God, by the way. More important. It is difficult for us to understand ourselves, to have a correct knowledge of our own characters. It's difficult. Why I am this way I am. The grace burden we have to bear in this life is what? It's not your husband, it's not your wife, it's not your it's not your pastor of the church, it's not the mayor of your city. It's not your boy who is now, dancing, whatever, smoking cigarette. The great burden is self. I used to attend the Alcoholics Anonymous, a group to study, to see how they work. In Rio, they're very organized. I had a prejudice against Alcoholics Anonymous, to confess to you. And one day I was in my vacation to a very small city in the beach, and there was one hotel. I stayed in the hotel. When I was filling the check-in form, the man, oh, you are Dr. Cesar Souza. You write for the Life and Health magazine. He was a subscriber for the Life. He was not Adventist, but he had a subscription of Life. Oh, can you help me to go to the, I give a support to AA meeting in this area. Can you go with me the next meeting and tell something for the people? I said, I thought. I didn't say him. Oh, God, I came for vacation. No, I go to this kind of meeting with people, with alcoholic, drunk people. Okay, I go. I went. Was totally opposite. I left the meeting saying, wow. I saw their spirituality. Very interesting. So in Rio, I visited an open meeting. They closed an open meeting. And in that meeting, they had a small board with the thought of the day, okay? And one day I looked for the thought and was written, first of all, look at yourself. Then look at yourself again. So to know who you are, very important. So there's a human mind. We have this kind, we can study about the conscience, unconscious here, and preconscious. This is important. The Bible says about that. There's another way we can see what we see about ourselves is only a small part of our total self. So God knows everything. We know only a very few about ourselves, so we should be more humble. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse to me from my secret faults. See, here is the concept of unconscious. It was not Freud that discovered that. It was the Bible telling about this. The physical life is to be carefully educated, cultivate, and develop. That through men and women, the divine nature may be revealed in its fullness. God expects men to use the intellect he has given them. He expected them to use every reasonable power for him. They are to give the conscience the place of supremacy that has been assigned it. Remember the car? I put the two wheels in the front. The mental and physical powers, and look what she said, with the affections mean the emotions, are to be so cultivated that they can reach the highest efficiency. So emotion is very important for the health, more than we can believe and accept. So affections is like feelings, pleasurable or unpleasurable. Emotions, intense feelings with physical as well mental manifestation. For example, her breasts have with emotion. Sentiments, feeling, often tender one, accompanied by some thoughts of reasoning. What are your sentiments in this matter? So only some information. This is a kind of feelings. Which kind of feelings we have? Fear. This is a terrorism also, isn't it? Yeah, it's a very, very sad terrorism. Sadness, the people is crying, the person is crying. That's why this way the picture. Shame, this gets very, why did I took the fish from my friend? Anger, okay, different types of emotion. Purity, my daughter was like this girl when she was very, very cute. And peace, Mary, the mother of Jesus, feeling very good peace in this time, this moment here. So different emotion. Look, Dr. Antonio Damasio, have you heard about Dr. Antonio Damasio? Yeah, Antonio Damasio is a neurologist. He was, I read the book in Portuguese, the Descartes mistake, kind of, you know this book? Okay. he's a very deep thinker about what is the mind, He said, emotion are not the intangibles, vaporous qualities that many presume them to be. Brain systems work together to give us emotions, just as they do with sight and smell. If you lose the ability, look at this, if you lose the ability to feel, your life and the life of people around you can be what? Devastated. One of the main problems of schizophrenic is that he or she lost the capacity to feel. They don't know how to feel. They don't know how to experience the feelings. It's kind of anesthesia of the feelings. There is a professor from Harvard, Peter Sifinels. He said I think he created a new name. It's called alexithymia. Alexithymia is the incapacity to feel the emotion. This is typical the schizophrenic patient. They suffer because of that. They cannot live with them. They cannot go away from them. Look at this quotation, very important, desire of age. Encourage the expression of love toward God and toward one another. The reason why there are so many hard-hearted men and women in the world is that, look what she says. He says, this is pure psychology. Is that the true affection has been regarded as a weakness and has been discouraged and repressed. The better nature for this person was stifled in childhood, was blockaded in the childhood. And unless the light of divine love shall melt away the cold selfishness, their happiness be forever ruined. See? Yeah, the sciences prove about that. Some people have difficult time experiencing the emotion. That's why Dr. Lee Makula-Valen from Harvard University, we studied Dr. Makula. I exchanged 1-2 emails with her. She died last year. I didn't know. I just discovered looking for some information. The last week I was in Brazil, and she has a book called Changing Character, this big here. And she says, we studied 2 years in postgrad. I took a course in Brazil called Brief Psychotherapy in Neuroscience. We studied Dr. Makula-Valen. And she says that mental health is simple. Mental health is to know how to have the emotion without allowing the emotion having us. Very important. And also she said that true mental health has to do with experience the emotion and express the emotion in a balanced way. It's a challenge for us. So, searching for self-understanding. I don't know how to open this here. Can you try for me? Oh, it's here. Okay. Please, Herbie. Why do I do what I do? This has to do with understanding ourselves. Why do I feel the way I feel? Why did I put off an urgent task? Why did I say what I did? Do I say what I mean? Do I mean what I say? Why did I say yes when I'd like to say no? What's the problem in me? Thank you. Question like this be best asked of yourself in a quiet moment of meditation. Demand honest answers. You may have to think deep for them. So sometimes many times, almost all the times, I give my patient something for them to think before they come back for the next consultation. And some people, when they come back, and many times I write in an email after the consultation and think about this. Remember, we discussed about this and that point, and I give this homework. And some patients, when they come back, I say, okay, did you receive my email? Did you read? Did you think talked about, oh, I forgot to look in my email. Okay. Oh, I lost the sheet you gave me. Why they do that? People, even the people who look for physician, they are not ready to receive the healing. So the readiness is important. We are not healed. We are not cured when we want. We are cured when we are ready to know, to understand. Remember Jesus said for the people, for the disciples, I have many things to tell you, to say to you, but you are not what? Prepared. So this is a big challenge for God. It's a big challenge for us as a professional dealing with the counseling, because many times we see something in the patient, but they are not ready to know, then we need to wait. Wait. See? Very important. So encourage what we do. Would you like I discussed, Dr. Bernard, if I should speak about this in 5 minutes or not? The practical way, would you like me to talk about this? Like what to do with the patient? Okay, encourage the person to solve his or her own problems. The task is for the patient. See? We cannot change the people. We cannot change other people. Don't try to do that. It's impossible. Only the person can change himself or herself if he or she is willing to be changed by God. So encourage the person to solve the problem. There may be not easy and quick solution. He needs or she needs to learn how to deal with painful emotions. People with drug addiction, they have a very low frustration, how we say in English? Threshold. Yeah, thank you. The small bad feelings they have, they want to use marijuana to anesthetize the emotion. We need to help them to face the emotion. The way to solve the anguish and the painful emotion is to go through the pain. It's not to avoid the pain, use any kind of thing, even religion. He needs to learn, okay, don't promise what the person will experience that the person will experience deep change during the time of the counseling process. We don't know. Before you ask something, think if that question will be helpful to clarify the problem. Visiting the person to pray, to sing hymns, to give Bible study is not counseling. This is different, okay? This is a spiritual counseling or evangelism, whatever. So what to offer to the person when you do counseling? Give answer according to what he, she needs to know and not according to what you want to say. It's important. Use simple, understandable, trustworthy words. This number one here is because of the counter-transference. You know what does mean, counter-transference? Is the feeling you feel toward the person you are working with because of your own emotional, dynamic. That's why we need to be careful about that. How do I feel when I do counseling to this kind of person? It's important. So transference is the feeling the patient transferred to the counselor. But we also need to be aware of how do I feel toward this person. Do I feel attracted sexually? Do I feel hate? Do I hate? What? The signals. These are more counseling lectures. Do not promise what you cannot carry out. Do not take on you unnecessary responsibilities. Your effort, look at this, your effort trying to help people with counseling should be made not to be neutral and not to change the person. It's God who will change the person if the person allows. I know that we can discuss about being neutral as a Christian. Okay, I'm talking about psychotherapy, okay? We can discuss about that. Actually, it's very difficult for us to be neutral. I don't know if we can be neutral, actually, totally. Do you really need to deepen the problem? Maybe not. So what makes the word helpful? What are helpful words? What to say to the person? Many things. Listening, giving counsel, calming down, quote a Bible verse, suggest a new behavior. I go more quickly. What's in need of help that words can be helpful? Different types of words. I will not study with you now each one of these. Revealing words, word of censure, wise word, encouraging words, word of deep meaning, words of insight, words of hope. So you can give some homework for the person. Suggest to think about what was discussed. Give articles, book to read, Bible quotation. Suggest to do something, because we change when we change. So I say to my patient, you can change when you go out from my office if you do things in a different way. So if you repeat the same behavior and desire a new behavior, is a craziness. So we change when we change. Change what? The way we feel, the way we think, the way we connect to other people. I will speak more about that in a few minutes. Okay, so there's many things you can give as a warm homework. What's the meaning? This is very important for us to understand. What's the meaning for the symptom? Each symptom comes or appears because of a meaning. Each symptom has a history, a function, a reason. I love Ellen White quotation. I didn't learn this quotation in the School of Medicine. I learned when I became Seventh-day Adventist, when she said the definition of disease. Disease, let's see if I can remember. Disease is a manifestation. Do you know the definition, the means of healing? Who knows the disease is yes. So look at this definition. So disease is a defense. The symptom is a defense mechanism the mind is using to try to solve the break of the law of health. So even the phobia, the panic attack, the depression is a signal. Is the red light in your car telling you stop to do something? See, don't look at the anguish, don't look at the anxiety as an enemy. They are friend. They are saying to us, hey, you need to change something in your lifestyle. When I say lifestyle, I don't say brown rice. I say, can be brown rice, but I say, the way you think, the way you feel. So it's important to understand beyond the symptom, looking for its meaning. Look at this. I make a comparison. This is a heart attack, okay? We can see here the myocardial is dying. And then what the nature, what God actually does for us not to die from this terrible way of dying. You know, there is a beautiful way of dying that God provides called, this is necrosis, right? Have you heard about apoptosis? Apoptosis is a beautiful way of dying. It's very interesting. Look in the Google, apoptosis. Okay, this is necrosis. So when the heart is having problem, then there is a collaterals that are being produced by God to save the person, not dying with the death of myocardial. What has to do this with the mind? Look, this we call the triangle of conflict. So here is when the child is in the childhood. Remember, Ellen White said that childhood is the more important period of the time to produce the way we are, the disease, the mental disease. And so we call core affects is the very natural sentiments of feelings. Happiness, anger, love, sadness. I know love is a principle, but the capacity to feel the love, sadness. When the child experiences some of these feelings in a very natural way and try to express, there is a barrier. Maybe the father is very upset that they, shut up, go to your room. No, or the child is in the living room and want to talk to the mother, and the mother is talking to her friend, and she's not patient with the child, and sometimes she says to the child a very nasty word, very aggressive word, and the child wants to express this feeling, and when the child tries to express the feeling, and the mother sometimes or the father say, don't talk, we are your father, we are your mother, shut up, you should obey God, see, God, yeah, and the child, repress the core affect because of some barrier. So in consequence of that, then the child will have some red light affects. Can be anxiety, shame, pain, guilt. Yeah, we don't see children with 5, 6, 7 years old that come to you and say, oh, Daddy, I feel so anguish today. No, they don't know what does mean anguish, but they feel. How the children manifest the anxiety and depression, how they manifest. Through the body and through the behavior, like become hyper, no? ADD, this kind of, or they have, how I say in English, enuresis, yeah? Fever without any physical cause. This is a manifestation of emotional suffering, right? Okay, so, and then some children, they may have some physical symptoms as a consequence of the difficulty to express this kind of secondary emotion, because this kind of emotion is produced by the repression of the core affects. See, that is very important for us to understand. So that's why many times we are dealing here, we receive a patient, adult patient in the office, and why you come here? How can I help you? I have a strong anxiety. I have a panic. Okay, well, this is a red light effect. So the main problem is in here. Then we need to help this person to look at here and to see the connection between this kind of emotion and this kind of cause. That's why Ellen White wrote the lessons that the child learns. So let me go back here. Remember I told you about the heart in the previous slide? Okay, so this collaterals is a defense mechanism to protect the heart not to die, right? And this defense mechanism is a protection the mind produces for the person not to die emotionally, not to become psychotic. Understand what I mean? So praise God if you have panic attack, because there is a professor in the University of Rio de Janeiro. He said that who that become schizophrenic is not who choose that, is who that has no other way to go. So okay, there's another point of view. Okay, the lessons that your child learns during the first 7 years. Now she mentioned 7. Sometimes she mentioned 3. Dr. Werler may mention 3. The lesson that child learns during the first 7 years of life have more to do with forming his character than all that it learns in future years. Very important this. So Dr. Benson from Harvard University again, look what he said. Emotions are the natural result, and he's not psychiatrist. He's not psychiatrist. Emotions are the natural result and the representation of our brain as it takes into account what happens in our whole life, inside and outside of us. They are much more important for the brain function and to determine our health than our society, which promotes objective reason, has ever imagined. Look what he said here. Emotion carries out a more crucial role in our physiology than most of us can understand. And this is Dr. Lee Makula Valen. She's a psychiatrist from Harvard. She died last year, and I exchanged 1 or 2 emails with her, and she said cognition can be thought of as the steering wheel, whereas affect is the motor that drives the car. Both affect and cognition are essential components of functioning, and both can be what? Malfunction and need what? Repair. Yeah. That's what the Bible says. That's why Ellen White wrote many pages. Look at this quotation, so wonderful. The divine lessons in the Word of God show us that the whole man is to be treated respectfully. Look what she means by whole man. The powers of the mind, the strong passions, even the passions, are not to be crushed as enemies, but are to be brought under the control of Christ, harnessed for his service. It's a wonderful quotation, isn't it? If the strong passions, you surrender to God, and God will use you this way for his glory. Dr. Valence, she said, psychodynamic. The same, look, what does that mean, psychodynamic? Okay, let's remember, psychodynamic is a scientific word we use to express what's happened in our mind in the sense of conflicts, unconscious and conscious. Is the history, is the truth, is the emotional truth in ourselves. The same symptom or picture can have quite different psychodynamic cause in different people. And similar cause can generate quite different symptom. Understood about that? What she's saying. So different conflicts in different people can produce one kind of symptom. For example, panic attacks. You can have 10 people with panic attacks, and the symptom is connected with the same psychodynamic cause. But you can have similar cause with different symptoms. I mean, you can have 10 people and they are abused sexually in the childhood, but they can manifest this suffering in a different way. See, one can become drug addicted, another can become also sexual abuser, another can become depressed and different. Okay, so look, remember Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth what? Shall set you free. So, what's the truth you need to know about yourself to be set free from what makes you suffer emotionally? So looking for the truth. How do we look for truth? Which truth one needs to know to be set free from his emotional suffering? Dr. Valen, she said, the ways we can inauthentically hide our true motivations to ourselves as well to others are myriad. Much of the time, these cover-ups of basic motivation are largely or entirely outside of our what? Awareness. That's why God put in the Bible that quotation for us. Look to my hidden faults, which I cannot understand, and help me. Beautiful. This is a patient, Dr. Makula, she called this patient. A woman, she didn't want to suffer because of the father death. she was very devastated when the father died. And because she thought it would be very unbearable, she could not handle the emotion, very painful emotion, thinking about the death of the father. Then she looked for therapy, psychotherapy. Always the topic of conversation was about the father. She changed the conversation. Then the therapist said, so the thought of painful things makes you nervous? And she said, yeah, I try to control myself so I don't want to show feelings. My friends, my brother and sister, we do many things in the day-by-day life to not feel some kind of painful emotion that we cannot imagine. Sleep too much, live too less, eating too much, put all the times you listen to some music in the headphone. You never allow yourself to be with yourself. You don't allow you to meditate with Jesus, for Jesus to show you what you need to be changed. Okay, so the therapist asked, what things did you do to control yourself before coming here today? And she said, I usually don't think about anything that would remind me of how sad I feel. But I knew that it would be difficult coming here today because I could not avoid it. So I just got anxious. See? She has a very painful sadness, which is the core affect. Remember the triangle of conflict? She had this core affect, but she cannot handle. Then she had the secondary sentiment or feelings, which is anxiety. She used the defense mechanism of repression to avoid feeling the pain of sadness. Then, or the symptom, which is defense, appears, the anxiety. Which are the ways we can blockade the experience of sorrow, of sadness, or pain, emotional pain or anguish, intellectualizing or minimize the emotional experience? Like, well, this is not a big deal. Well, it's not a big problem. I don't feel so bad. Well, I don't feel... Yeah, you're lying. Maybe it's intellectualizing. Or be happy to live, like Pollyanna style, or various forms of depression, paralyzing the experience, somatizing, because the body is the best friend of the mind, and the mind is the best friend of the body. When something in the mind is so heavy for you to bear, the body says to you, hey, do you need help? Yes, I need your help. Okay, send to me. I take care of you. Then you start feeling back pain. Okay, some people with back pain without any orthopedic problem, they sometimes want to carry the world. They want to carry the problem of everybody. Also fibromyalgia, yeah, some people, there is a psychological explanation of fibromyalgia plus the biological or the clinical explanation. So we can blockade the emotional experience that we need to go through by tender feelings. Tender feelings can be frightening because one feels so vulnerable, and being vulnerable is not comfortable many times. One individual can hide those feelings by what? Indifference, by irritability, picking fights at the moments of closeness, dissociation, being too busy for a great deal of close time together. Different behavior we can use to not touch some emotions, not to be aware of. So how can we look for solutions? Searching for liberating truth, the truth that shall set us free from some emotional problems. How is the patient defending against feelings? We need to understand how we are if you are the patient. What feelings is the patient defend against? We need to help people telling them, name the feeling. Which is the feeling you feel? Shame, guilt, anguish, depression, Why is the patient defend against the feeling? What's the purpose for that? Whom does the defense address? Or who is the person with whom the problem started? Is the father, is the mother, or substitute? Is the husband, is the wife, is the boss, is the employer, is the what? The woman who did avoid facing the sorrow due to the father's death, in the first session, the main complaint was, this anxiety, oh, so heavy, it's really getting to me. And she lowered her head. It's too much to me, the anxiety I feel. So deeper truth about her anxiety was the difficulty she had to deal with the sorrow related to her father's death. So the therapist says, so you avoid the upsetting thoughts when you can and when you cannot, you become anxious. I did notice that every time the subject of your father's death came up, you tend to skip off to other topics. Did you realize doing that? Look what she said. No, not really. I did not say I was doing that. And she stopped thinking, but I can't believe I was. I never want to talk about my father's death. People want to protect themselves from the pain, is that right? Sure, this is how we comfort ourselves when there is no better alternative. But the pain is still there. And can come to the body. So there's hidden agendas or defensive behaviors. Avoidance of specific feelings, avoidance of closeness, avoidance of interpersonal authenticity, avoidance of therapeutic change. Some people, they sabotage the growth process, defeat of the therapeutic process, different kind of